Every series has that one outlier that fans will say doesn't really fit in. When mentioned in discussion, you'll hear a lot of "it was alright" before the subject is changed. I feel that's the case for Ys Memories of Celceta. Originally released on the PS Vita before heading to PC, the title has re-emerged for the PlayStation 4 for fans to go on another hack-and-slash adventure. While I don't think it's a reason to replay the game for those who have already played the PC port, I personally feel that it's a strong adventure game and one that should be experienced. Ys Memories of Celceta stars our silent adventurer Adol Kristen, who stumbles into town without a memory of who he is or how he got there. He ends up meeting up with his old pal Durin, who suggests that they take on a mission to help the town and possibly get gold out of it. This ends up awakening a portion of Adol's memories, which is the basis for the entire adventure. The two adventurers are then tasked with mapping the surrounding areas and uncovering its mysteries. Revealing the map is one of my favorite parts of the game, as it satisfied my craving for adventure. Every new section explored is then shown on your map that slowly grows throughout the entire experience. The story then follows Adol to different towns where supposedly he's been before, but again, he can't remember. After his previous visit, bad things begin to happen, and so when he returns, he isn't met with kindness. However, things are cleared up, and it's discovered that there's some dark powers at play here that are pulling the strings. This happens a few times during the game, and it just makes the story predictable after a while. There's no real suspense until the later portions of the story, but honestly, completing the map had my interest more than the game's story or characters did. I would also attribute this to Adol's responses during dialogue, which don't really affect the story after a general response. Memories of Celceta has some great qualities about its pure sense of adventure. You assume the role of a toned down Adol who must relearn most of his abilities. Furthermore, the story uses the memory loss as a way to introduce new characters to the party who each have their own unique ability and skills. It flows nicely as you uncover more of the map and reclaim Adol's memories. To make adventuring in dungeons more engaging, players can equip artifacts that give the party special powers. The artifacts grant the team abilities like shrinking in size, breathing underwater, or running faster. They each limit any repetitive nature that a hack and slash game may present, and it forces you to explore everything. The battle system requires players to switch between party members depending on the enemy you are fighting. Some enemies are weak to Adol's swords, while others are weak to Durin's fists, and so on. This keeps you constantly switching between party members during every encounter. One issue that pops up is the AI members of your party aren't that smart most of the time. They do what they can, but a lot rides on how quickly you switch between members who have an advantage over an enemy. I will point out that sometimes the party members became stuck in this strange glitch where they run around in circles randomly. It didn't really affect my gameplay experience, but it did happen often. Bosses are also encountered during the adventure, but they don't really have the same complexities about them that the other Ys titles seem to include. They were just so unremarkable and unmemorable. Many are only damage sponges with a few basic attack patterns. Even the final boss doesn't really hold any weight. Aside from the main story, players can take on submissions that involve defeating an enemy, collecting items, or just helping out townspeople. Some of these side missions provide some nice dialogue scenes, but many of them felt like padding on the game's runtime unless you just use them for extra money or materials. While exploring, players can collect materials around the map as well as from fallen enemies. These can then be used to strengthen and refine your equipment, which makes weapons last a lot longer in the game. Equipment can also have elemental properties that can do things like heal the wearer over time or poison enemies. The PS4 version is the best console version of Memories of Celceta. However, it isn't as good as a PC port. It lacks the layer of polish that the PC version has, with the added options to increase the graphics. Still, it's fun to play with the Japanese audio, and the frame rate felt consistent during each encounter. I believe that the Vita development of Memories of Celceta holds back with this updated version of the game no matter which port you play. The static camera also feels incredibly dated as the right analog stick only zooms in and out. Regardless, the controller input was responsive when executing flash dodges and guards, so that was always a good time. East Memories of Celceta is a game where it's more about the journey than the destination. Every moment on the map presents a new discovery, and that becomes wildly satisfying across the 20-hour runtime. The story elements and flimsy side missions don't always help the overall engagement, but that doesn't really matter when the battle system is just so much fun. Still, if you're looking to play the best version available, I'd point you to the PC release. But either way, this is one adventure that I encourage you to go on. Noisy Pixel is giving East Memories of Celceta on PS4 a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review on noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.